Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to VC Bird International Airport on the beautiful island of Antigua. We're here this morning in the ATR72. Going to be heading over to St. Kitts. This is Caribbean Airlines Flight 268, and we are also testing the latest beta for the sim, which is 1.38.14. Just came out yesterday, September, whatever yesterday was, September 5th. And I had a chance to fly it yesterday in DX11. Today we are flying it in DX12. And we'll see. I've had some good luck with DX12. I've had some bad luck with DX12. I ran it for quite a while, actually. Let's see. There is, where is, looking for the hydraulics crossfeed because, oh, there we go, right there. One of the problems that's been in existence since for a while now with this airplane is that when you put the throttles to idle on the ground, the hydraulics cut out, which is kind of not helpful. But what are we gonna do? And one of the things that I've learned since probably the last time I made a video on this airplane, I used to go into payload and then load aircraft and do all this stuff, and then I would come back and hit flight plan, set fuel, set payload. So really, all you need to do is import your flight plan, set the flight plan, set the fuel, set the payload, and you should look over here and it should be all set to go. So let's get over here and start working on our flight plan. Let's see here. So Tampa, we're going to be taking off runway 7. Execute that, and then we're going to be arriving RNAV runway 07 via BOMAT. And what that's going to give us is this kind of brief overview flight plan here, and then there's discontinuity, and then there's BOMAT and the approach after that. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to take, because if you try taking out SKB, you're going to mess up the airway. And so what I'm going to do is just take off, get on course, and then hit direct to BOMAT, which is going to get my just going to get me what I'm looking for, basically. So transition altitude is 2,500 feet, which makes no sense at all. But hey, cruise altitude, I believe, is 8,000. Cruise altitude is 8,000. TFFR, which is Point Pitre, which is a really great airport. So let's go. That would be even flight. No, that would be an odd flight level. So I'm gonna go like, let's call it 11,000. we were going to the alternate. You just press and hold these and then release them, and that'll fill in your weights, and then you go and put in your trim, which is 1.5 up, and you can see it moving right here. That alarm, by the way, is if you hold down the trim for I think more than 2 seconds or something like that, it'll give you that. I don't necessarily understand what your interest would be in that, but I mean, I guess if you would want to know if somebody was sitting there holding the trim, but I don't know why necessarily somebody might do that, but clearly it's happened, so it's something they take into consideration. 122.8. Switch that over. There is no ATC. 112.0 is the SKB VOR, which is at St. Kitts, and there's a VOR here, 114.5. So we'll do, and I don't want this on auto because I want to be able to set it myself. 114.5, enter. No. 1145, enter. There we go. Alright, transponder, let's go for 243. Transponder on, TCAS on auto, so we're good to go here. Anything else? Not really. Alright, let's go. Before propeller rotation checklist, CDLS on, takeoff data, let's confirm that. Good to go. Trims 3 axes, doink, all good. Tail prop on board, doors are closed. Let's see here. That's what I'm looking for. Alright, seatbelt signs and beacon on. Let's have a quick look here. Seatbelt sign, beacon on. And we should be able to. Prop brake always makes me nervous in this airplane. Looking good this time. Prop is moving. Alright. And now we can put that up into auto. Move the left prop to feathered. Hit start on that. And here we go. Oil pressure coming up. Oil pressure is good. TT coming back. I put that up to feathered as well. So both props are set to feathered. Set that to flight plan. What else do we need to do? We need to set our altitude 8,000 feet. I'm going to clear myself straight to 8,000. Let's see. Departure heading 073. So we'll set that real quick. 070, 1, 2, 3. That's good to go. Set our speeds there. Alright, before taxi checklist. FWS recall. Good to go there. Cockpit comm edge good. CL1 and 2 auto. Anti-icing as required. TRU. Good to go. Anti-skid test. Is good to go. Flaps. 15. Selected and indicating. Nose wheel steering is on. And is good. Procedure completed. And there's your DC generator fault. So, there's your DC generator fault, which is the problem I talked about earlier. Turn that crossfeed on. Turn the taxi lights on. Starter is off. Yeah, see, those generator faults right there. Windshield heating coming on. Alright, I think we're good to go. And that generator fault will clear as soon as we get moving here. Altimeter 1015. So far so good here with 138.14. Take a look outside, make sure there's going to be a back into. It's not. Alright, VC Bird traffic airplane 268 is pushing back. Position 6 will be taxiing to runway 07 via taxiway Alpha, VC Bird. Alright, parking brake is off. Oh yes, one thing we mustn't forget to do. Release the ground power and release the chocks. The airplane does not move well with the chocks engaged. Alright, the ATR's party trick. Props reversed. And this is the DC generator fault. I read somewhere that if you turn the crossfeed on, look at that. There's like a screen on the windshield, on the side window. I read somewhere, these screens are new. I haven't seen these before. I read somewhere about this hydraulics crossfeed solving this problem. Clearly it does not. Taxi takeoff lights, brakes checked. That is good. Takeoff config test. Okay. And alright, once again, I'm going to see if that comes back. That error. This is VC Bird Airport. I forget the developer, but it's one of my favorite airports in the sim. Great payware airport. Alright, takeoff briefing. We are going to be taking off runway 07. There's an island, a mile and a half off the end of the runway that they don't like us annoying, so we're going to make sure that we have a quick left turnout. We're going to make it's going to be a downwind departure coming around to the westbound heading. So that's good. Gust lock is off. That's good. Flight control. Spoilers are working. Transponder and TCAS are on. Boost function is as needed. Airflow is good. Cabin crew alerted. Engine bleeds are good. Exterior lights, we'll hit those here in a second. Alright. IAS mode and nav mode. Lateral flight director bar is good. I'm just going to throw these into reverse here to slow us down, and once again we're going to get that fault. Which is really problematic because the brakes are hydraulic, so when you've got that error you can't use your brakes. Alright, lateral flight director bar is there. Rudder cam. Just flick that to make sure the rudder is squared. Good to go. Alright, so everything looking good. Okay, I think we're ready to go. I do not see any traffic. We'll make sure. Alright. VC Bird traffic Caribbean 268 is departing runway 07, left downwind departure to the west. VC Bird. Alright. I kind of like this screen. It'd be nice to know if I could get rid of it, but I kind of like it. Alright, runway is clear in this direction. I don't see any traffic. We're using live weather. Stock sim live weather. Alright, let's get out on center line here. Get rid of this. Alright, let's pause here quickly, or briefly, shall I say. Just making sure my volume is up, because I'm not really hearing the sim very well right now. Alright, heading indicator checks with the runway number. Let's bring in the power. There's notch notch. Engine instruments are in the green. Release the brakes. Hold that nose forward. Alright. 70 knots. My controls. And this airplane likes just to fly itself right off the runway, which makes things pretty easy. There's that island I was talking about there. So we'll start a turnout here. Positive rate of climb. That gear's coming up. Yaw damper on. Autopilot on. LNAV is engaged. Just want to keep an eye on it. I don't blindly trust autopilots. And nor should you. Alright, airspeed is climbing. We can bring the flaps up. Yeah, I don't blindly trust autopilots. Always make sure that I've got the correct indications, which in this case is the LNAV VNAV, or LNAV IAS, but also that it's doing what I'm expecting it to do. Alright, landing gear up. I forgot to turn my landing lights on. Taxi lights off. Flaps are up and indicating. Power management is climb. Engine bleeds are good. Taxi and takeoff lights are off. Altimeters to standard. And that's our departure checklist. Alright. A little bit of IMC here. Alright. Have a look out of the cheap seats. I love track IR with these window views. It's like sitting in the it's like sitting in the seat. You know, it's really pretty cool. I set up this view just, I don't know, to have a view. I don't think it's particularly interesting. I guess depends on what scenery you're looking at. Looking beautiful. This used to be really washed out, all this area here, and it looks so much better now. I mentioned in a video that I posted yesterday, I did something yesterday and here's Bomat, by the way. So let's come over here and we'll hit direct to and Bomat and execute. All that does, so Bomat is on our on the same course of the airway that we were just flying. It's just not part of that airway, and so, like I said, deleting the SKB VOR would have screwed up the airway and screwed up the flight plan, so I just depart and then go direct to 6200. Square the heading indicator. So I've been messing with some Nvidia filters to try and get a view that I like. I'm also going to try and see if I can get rid of. Doesn't look like you can get rid of this in any way, which is kind of weird. Because this is new. This has not been here. I don't remember seeing it yesterday. There's probably a way to turn it off or to put it up, but it's actually kind of realistic for Caribbean flying. But anyway, I've been messing with some Nvidia filters and some Nvidia control panel settings to try and get like a more realistic view, you know, more realistic colors and so forth. Clouds look fantastic. And really the only, I mean, you can mess around with it as much as you want, and it depends with the filters. It depends on which order you set them up. It depends on all kinds of stuff, and you can get one that looks pretty good, and then you look at a different type of scenery than the one you set it up for, and then it looks terrible. And I just really can't be bothered to spend that much time and that much effort to kind of fix what really doesn't need to be fixed. And so I sort of figured I'm just going to leave it be. I mean, I've had it set up like this. I had one from somebody on YouTube. I tried their settings and I really liked them. for a while, and then after a while I didn't like them anymore. And I did something yesterday that I never do, which is, you know, those like kind of like little tech tricks where, let's get the altimeter here, 1016. One of those tech tricks that you see on, like, you know, on forums or on YouTube or whatever, where people are like, change this one setting, it will, you know, cut your grass and like take the garbage out for you, and life will be perfect, right? And it's and most of them, you know, there's so much variation in our systems and our setups and the sceneries we're using and programs we're running and whatever else. It's really difficult for any one thing that might work, you know, miracles for one person to work similar miracles for somebody else. And so I just never try these things. And really, like, my goal is to enjoy flight simming. My goal isn't to spend, you know, like in the old days of Prepared, you know, I felt like I used to spend 3 hours tweaking for every hour I spent flying, right? And I just don't want to get into that. I really don't. And so I tend to basically ignore this stuff. And yesterday there was one that I saw that was specifically addressed to the thing that I wanted to fix in my sim, which is the whiteout look, like the over brightness, right? And you might look at this and think this is pretty bright, but I guarantee you, having just come back from the Caribbean 4 days ago, if you're out in the Caribbean on a bright sunny day like this with no sunglasses on, I guarantee you this is what it looks like. You know, it's you're gonna be, you know, having a difficult time in, you know, looking around without sunglasses, seeing, you know, seeing the area around you not being super bright. And so really what I wanted to do is just kind of take that edge off of the brightness. And so I tried this tweak, and lo and behold, it worked, which is like miraculous, you know, because these things never work. Alright, top of descent, 8 minutes. Because these things never work. And like anything, who knows if it's going to continue to work. Let's see, transition altitude is 5,000. Altimeter QNH is 1016. Actually, the transition altitude is not 5,000. The transition altitude is quote-unquote transition level. The transition altitude is not what you're using for approach. You're actually using transition level. But anyway, transition level for approach per the Jeppesen charts is, and I quote, by ATC, which means you don't even know what the transition level is. You have to wait until somebody tells you what it is, which is ridiculous. But anyway, whenever it says by ATC, and I don't have VATSIM controllers, I just use the transition altitude for my transition level. Remember, transition level is for landing. Transition altitude is for departing. And why you would have... So in the US, it's always the same. It's always 18,000, 18,000. As a matter of fact, there is no such thing as transition level and transition altitude. It's just transition level is 18,000 feet, period. And I find it strange that other countries would have like varying transition levels, although I mean there's got to be some logic for it. But what I really don't understand is having a different transition level and a different transition altitude, because some of these places transition level, like I think St. Kitts where we just left, Let me have a look actually. VC Bird where we just left. Charts, app, approach charts. I have an iPad mini 4, I think it is. Sometimes it needs to do some thinking. Yeah, alright, let's have a look here. So transition level is flight level 40, which is 4,000 feet. Transition altitude is 2,500 feet. So which means approaching and departing aircraft coming in and out of VC Bird are at different can be at different altimeter settings at the same altitude, or in the same, the same like ranges of altitude. So if you're between 2,500 and 4,000 feet approaching VC Bird, depending on whether you're coming or going, you might have a different transition or a different altimeter setting than other aircraft flying into and out of the same airport, which scares the living daylights out of me. I don't know why you would do that. It really doesn't make sense. But that's what they do. Sync, it's traffic, and Caribbean 268 is 10 miles to the south, inbound for runway 7. Sync, it's. So, who knows? I mean, the whole altimeter thing, having different transition levels and transition altitudes makes no sense to me. But what really makes no sense to me is having a different transition level and different transition altitude going into the same airfield. That is just mind-boggling to me. But anyway, I made that one change. And what you do is you go into your user CFG file. App data, local packages, Microsoft Flight Simulator _8WEKBY, local cache, and then you go into your user CFG.opt file, and you change the color grading value from 1 to 0, and then save that file. And then once you've saved and closed out that file, you have to change it to read only, otherwise it will reset the setting. So let's go vertical speed mode here. We'll come down, and once you get the magenta, rectangle there, you can use you can hit vertical speed mode. FWS, recall, landing elevation is automatic, FMS, nav data is good. I gotta bring some power out here because we're gonna overspeed. And if you overspeed, you go into pitch hold mode, which is a pain. Alright, decision height, I believe is 1270. Just super high for an approach. No. Sync is traffic, Caribbean 268, turning a 12-mile right base, runway 07. Sync it's. Alright. No. What am I doing? Well, let's bring that down to 32. Alright, now I need to change this, should be 1270. That is set. We'll do our arrival briefing here in a second. Let's activate those approach speeds. We want to come down to 170. Bring the power out. Okay. It's an RNAV approach, so I don't have any Any radios to tune? Let's activate approach mode here. VFP mode in the backup, which is what we want. Speed is coming down. Final approach course 071. AMITA is glide slope intercepted 2000. LNAV VNAV decision height is 1270. Bring this down now to 2000. St. Kitts traffic. Caribbean 268 turning a 12-mile final runway 7. St. Kitts. Couldn't think of the runway, the airport name. Alright, so we are now on final. We're coming down to AMITA at 2000. I'm going to go flaps 15 speed checks. Come down to 140. Seatbelt sign is on. Landing lights are on. Altimeter 1016 is the QNH. Cabin altitude is good. Alright. DeSoul is a 7-mile final, so I'm gonna keep an eye here and see whether the distances are correct. This distance right here, once we pass DeSoul, should be 7.3. Let's see whether it is. Alright, let's alert the cabin crew. I've been talking so much, I'm a little behind my my plan here. One mile from DeSoul. Speed checks for gear down, flaps full, and indicating. Power management, too low. Speed is good. DeSoul is 2.4 from AMITA, so that looks like it was right. So we're about 1.9 now. Icing AOA external lights, we're good to go. But what is not good to go is when we get to AMITA, the distance after AMITA should be 4.9, and I don't think it's going to be. Got a wind here. What's our wind? 05011. Okay. Not too bad. I got my track IR squared up here. Alright, so there's AMITA 0.3, 0.2. Bringing a little bit of power here so we don't get too slow. 0.1, it should say 4.9, and it says 5.4. So it's always about a half a mile off. Yaw dampener and autopilot coming off my airplane. St. Kitts traffic, Caribbean 268, 5-mile final, runway 7. St. Kitts. Still can't think of the name of the airport. Let's see. Bradshaw. Alright, Bradshaw it is. Alright, so what I want to do is just get myself, got a little bit of a right crosswind here. Just want to get myself in close enough to where I can see the PAPI lights, and then we'll just come in using the pappies.
Approaching minimum. Minimum.
Continuing.
Minimum.
Bradshaw traffic, Airbnb 268, 3 mile, final runway 7, Bradshaw. Remembered the name of the airport that time. I'm pretty happy. I believe we got 4 white here. A little bit of a downdraft. Alright. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, 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 nope. The steeper descent than normal. Bradshaw traffic, Airbnb 268, short final, runway 7, Bradshaw. Bring some power out here because it's getting...
$500.
Alright. Not too bad. Nose down trim, a little bit of power out. Alright.
200.
A little bit of power in now. Right on glide slope.
100. Don't sink.
Yeah, yeah.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was pretty good. Alright, nose down. Let's keep it down. Reversers. That right there wasn't too bad. I almost looked like I knew what I was doing on that one. Almost looked like I knew what I was doing on that one. Taxi takeoff lights. Turn the landing lights off. Let's put the flaps up. Engage the gust lock. Gosh, ladies and gentlemen, what was that? Your captain showing off his skills there. So the other thing I've done is I've turned off all of Bradshaw traffic, Caribbean 268, clear runway 7, Bradshaw. The other thing I've done is turned off all of the ground vehicles and all of the airplanes at the field. So like basically, in other words, I only have VATSIM traffic, like VATSIM aircraft. And no ground vehicles, which is kind of a bummer. It really is, because I really like populated airports. I like things going on at the airport. But unfortunately, the ground vehicles and Flight Simulator are just ridiculous. You know, just these kamikaze buses, and like, you know, and they don't even behave in like, I mean, if they were somewhere where they shouldn't be necessarily, but perhaps stationary, like that might be one thing, but they're not. Alright, let's set the parking brake. They just like, they like, you know, look around randomly, or they move around completely randomly, and it's so frustrating sometimes. And I know you can just drive right through them, which doesn't make it any better. It's actually probably worse. Alright, rotating beacon off, landing lights off. Seatbelt lights off. It's actually probably worse. Because, you know, you just kind of say forget it and just plow straight through them. But I just can't take it anymore. I just can't take it anymore. And so I don't have the patience anymore to deal with, you know, buses in the runway. Like, it's just completely ridiculous. So we're shut down. We're on ground power. Let's open up all our doors. Have a look outside. Beautiful day. And one of the things actually that I was meaning to kind of pay attention to, but I talked too much, and this is Bradshaw International Airport by SLH Sim Designs, by the way. I'll put a link in the description. Awesome, awesome developer. New developer for Microsoft Flight Simulator, and they've done some fantastic airports. Done this airport, they've done Point Pitre, which is just unbelievable, on Guadeloupe. And what else? Anguilla, which is an awesome rendering as well. But anyway, I meant to kind of pay attention to whether there were any stutters in DX12 for this flight, and I did not see a single one. It said my landing rate was 190 feet per minute, which I'd like to know where they got that number from, because it didn't feel like 190 feet per minute to me. It felt like I mean, even though you shouldn't really look for greasers, you know, you should look for what I call a professional landing, which is, you know, firm enough to trip the squat switches and trip the spoilers, but also smooth enough so your passengers don't spill their drinks. Yeah, so here we are, and I have to now spend 3 minutes staring at whatever in order to get my full points for Caribbean Airlines Virtual. So whenever I fly this airplane, I'm flying for Caribbean Airlines Virtual, which is v-bwa.net. If you guys are interested, I'll put that in the description as well. Great virtual airline, really cool bunch of guys and a couple gals. Fun thing to kind of be involved in. But yeah, so the DX12 test, thumbs up, very, very smooth. Everything's looking great. I think my terrain level of detail, I think, is 300, and my objects level of detail, I think, is 150. I got things jacked up pretty high. Most settings on Ultra. I've got a few on high, but running an RTX 3080 Ti and 12,700K with 36 gigabytes of RAM. And what else can I talk about while I wait for my 3 minutes to go by? Yeah, so all in all, this is definitely the best rendition of the beta. I've had stutters in all the other beta renditions, and you know, not particularly pleased to see that, seeing as I haven't had stutters for ages. I mean, ages. Really haven't had any stutters since I got this new computer. And I guess my last thought is that they did update the ATR. They did not fix the RNAV issue, clearly. The RNAV approach issue, where the final fix before the runway fix is give or take about 0.5 or 0.6 miles off. It's too far out, which makes you land in the middle of the runway. I would report this on the official Microsoft forums, but I cannot because I have been thrown out of the official Microsoft forums. I did send Hans Hartmann a message on a different forum that he and I both belong to. I know he saw the message. I don't know whether he read it. He didn't respond, so whatever. I try, and I hope you guys enjoyed the flight, and we will see you again next time.